And so as I began to develop the art for this exhibition in conversation with Helen over several months, I realised that actually the topic had probably shifted. Whilst this whole question about the limits of language stayed, is that I also realised there was a lot of unreliability of memory coming into it as well. So I'd like to read 4 short poems. Before I do, I'd like to thank you very much indeed, Helen, for this evening, for this exhibition, and for all of your encouragement and support. And I'd like to thank you, Sylee, as well. Sylee and I are part of the Popper Group Collective, and it's great to have you. And Paul, who came in to join us for this evening, and Ben as well. So thank you all very much indeed, and thank you all for being here. So the first poem I'd like to read is called Wadi Kelt, and this is a valley that runs between Jericho and Jerusalem. At the spring, the desert is lime green. I follow the stream, encased in stone, 2,000 years hewn, a leaf-bound slash along the Wadi wall. Hillsides rise all around, pebble dash undulating, along and across the depths of the gorge. I look to the reeds, and they reground me. The clink of bells spirals down, draws my gaze up to seek out the sheep, pinched into outcrops, their long ears, smooth noses and ragged fleeces merging with the plains and ledges of the cliff. I think I glimpse a shepherd higher up, but it's a plastic bag caught on a thorn bush. The path descends to smooth rock, then to swirled boulders, the wake of a long dry torrent piled closer and closer, then I'm crawling through a tunnel of reeds thicker and stronger than my forearm, emerging to a column of seed heads nodding down at me. At midday, I stop to perch on a broad overhang, watching the waves of rock strata and grit shift and curve, settle and shift before my eyes. Motion I understand as I accept I am as in a boat, and the greys and ochres and greens and browns will swell and shift and carry me along, so long as I do not resist, and my breath slows to the rhythm of the rock. The path slopes forward. A fox lopes away towards the plain in far-off blue-green haze, beyond where the aqueduct slices the gorge, where, from its block shade, 3 forms emerge, burdened, black-swathed, toiling up the path that has borne people and water for thousands of years. Are they Bedouin or walkers? Settlers or monks? Binoculars don't help. They plod out of sight. An eagle passes high overhead, a snapped blink in the sunlight. My rock is between their path and the drop. I stand and brush lunch crumbs from my bike hiking kit in the hope, out of habit, that I will be seen, overseen, overlooked. My phone in my hand, the desert continues as I hold my breath. Eyes down, they round the bend, hunched under huge backpacks. Only small logos place them in our time. Nuns, chanting their pace, steady, steadfastly. The first raises her head and nods as they skirt the rock and carry their prayers on, out of sight. At the pool, I lie on fine grass and bright star-shaped flowers. By cool water so clear the fish seem to fly away from my heat-swollen hands, retracted, puffy and dull against shiny, taut pebbles. A lone cloud smudges the desert sun. Its shadow chills me, then it is gone. Now, the next poems are also in the pictures. So the first one is Sous la pluie. Sous la pluie, j'ai fait la crêpe. Pancakes, lean, flat, last, fat, flipping hot. 40 desert days, I bake in the rain. Drizzle lemon, ash dissolves. So faire la crêpe literally means to make a pancake, but also to bake yourself sunbathing. But it was raining on Shrove Tuesday. Midsummer. Faraway windows across the valley flash our setting sun back across minefields. Living rooms blazing beyond no man's land, beacons broadcasting mountain positions. Miners, bulbuls, sparrows and soot-clad jays lunge and dart after invisible prey, rising as green spears pierce charred earth, while hoopies bore down below. The sun sets too early here, but tonight we will go out through the checkpoint, and in Nadia's garden beyond the wall we will dance, grapevine garlands in our hair, beneath the midsummer moon. And the final piece I'd like to read is a constraint-based poem, based on I follow Lippo work quite a bit, and this is a constraint called Matthew's Corpus, where the words are made up entirely of words, so that that are spelt exactly the same way in English and in French, but have different meanings. And I'm having trouble with the technology. Okay. On tour. Slave tapes us, salve slips sail. Roman voles sang rot on river, vague pin, tapir prize, or pet top. Coin the mare, pair minor champs, make virgin, miser, nonce. Grasses assist shade, pressing riper chars, tends till porter devises polar cap. Office report or vent on font. Stage river. Vague tour, non slave or salve. Rot, slips, pin, tapir, pate salve. Horse in house, porter, grass, office, coin, Roman chars. Riper on or on top tilt. Mate on chance report. Mervols, prize sent, assist verger, devises renters, back, air hackler. Polar takes, tens, font, minor, miser. We tower, slough, slaps waves, burst planks dirt. Novel stolen blood bursts, we rivet. Waves pine, crouch, grass, gold, fast early. Corner teapool, even eat away fields, subdue orchard. Bet, payroll, perhaps attend wise, dry cleaning, skid tents, stretch, click, carrying mottos, whodunit, parton, function, carrying forward, gold, wind, we do. So the constraint there was the first poem was the poem you see on tour. The second was the same words randomized on through an internet randomizer, and the third was a word by word translation of the first, assuming the first had been in French. But anyway, that was a Matthew's course. Anyway, thank you all very much.
Yeah. How are you? That was nice. Thank you.
I'm still hearing the echo of all those voices. There's some kind of want to observe it. So I'm Sylee Gore. I'll be reading next, and I just wanted to also start off by saying thank you to Helen for letting us be in this really gorgeous space all together. And just, I feel I've already made all these little connections with people, so I'm really happy to be able to spend this time in Brussels, and of course, just to be surrounded by Laura's work, which I know so well online, but regarding offline for the first time, it's such a pleasure. So thank you for creating this evening. And I'll just read a few pieces. I'll start off with a short poem, which is called Otium, is also a lullaby. Green all winter, the purest of pleasures, sap, ink, ice, the bus shelter blaze at noon. Let us hold together a short silence. What constitutes a good life? Zinc, stone, glass. We don't worship silence, order, perfume, warble, rill. We worship in silence, civility, pleasure, the underground breeze of the northbound arrival. Orange trees and lemon, myrtle, sweet marjoram, the best perfume in the air. Sit and look at a field, drooping palm fronds in the mall restroom, the crash of pinks of all sorts, an office desk in sunburnt light, sweetened under air, roses cut to come late. For those who have known a reversal, figs and fruit, filberts, vine leaves, water, arch, wind, dahlias, a learned leisure, bedded in a noble state, the knoll sculpted green. And the next short piece I want to read is from a very small book of photo poetry that I'm debuting tonight called Sleep Mirrors. I became really obsessed with mirrors over the winter, I think because it was so dark, and I found myself holding them up in very different directions and realizing that they sort of caught light where you didn't actually think there was light. I became really interested in that effect. So I'll leave a copy here later if anyone wants to have a look, but it's words imposed onto images. You're going to sleep. A sleep built of vocabulary. A photograph of sleep. A dream caught in a mirror. I lick the mirror. The moment slips the frame. What is the opposite of sleep? What is the opposite of sleep? When flames creep into the mirror. Did you see the mirror? And I think the last piece I'll read is sort of a hybrid because a magazine that recently published it was just posting it today, and I thought that would be a nice one to end with. And also because we're talking a lot about different places coming together in different languages, I thought this would be very apt. It's from a longer work called Cloud Archive, and it's written from the perspective of a young mother. We made the mistake of waiting outside the office. In his preface to Ovid, Dryden said, translations may be classed as 3 types. Why didn't you come in, the bureaucrat snaps. We slide our documents across his desk. Summer slants into autumn. My breasts are tight with milk. Citizenship is seldom a birthright. Asleep in your carry-cot, your breath is the second story. Jus sanguinis or jus soli. The bureaucrat's office is a study in grey plastics. Paraphrase, interpretation, word for word. Studio portraits line the windowsill. Passing trains flash by. William Talbot declared that his photographs were made by light alone. He flicks through our forms. You are 6 weeks old. I'm stripped of my skin. These days, when you've fallen asleep on my shoulder and I need to transfer you, your father will stand so close that you are pressed between us. I lean away as his hands slip around you. Then I step back. So we transfer you from one breathing body to the other, yet your sleep remains intact. By and large, this translation feels possible. How much will you belong? The train comes so close that the photographs tremble. Your hands open as you dream. I take a photograph of the citizenship lobby. One word moves to form another more simply than a body is deemed equivalent in rights. John Dryden said a translator has no right to change an original. I take a photograph of the translation. I take a photograph of you. The bureaucrat bangs the stapler with panache. Take this to the next office. When we enter, the clerk snaps. Wait outside. The radio plays. Talbot says the picture is but a succession of stronger lights. And here you are, a child in the third country, dreaming in your bassinet, while Dryden declares to me that silence is better than an imperfect translation. Forms become decisions in the chambers of the law, as the chambers of the camera transform seconds of light into negatives, just as the chambers of the brain translate one language in another, in split-second decisions that decide who may become a citizen. And to finish, some kind members of the audience have agreed to help with the poem, which is part of a series I've written, which are kind of artist interview poems. I do a lot of translating from German into English of art books, exhibition catalogs, things like that, which means I translate a lot of interviews. And I think I've become very obsessed with how an answer does or does not actually respond to the question that's being posed. So, and now, clouds. Why do they matter?
Before film, we watched the sky.
The portrait of a cloud.
I lie in wait.
Sound changes when it's cloudy.
Rays shadowy and clear.
The advent of abstraction.
A portrait of surrender. The only possible collection. Thank you so much.
Why are train fares so expensive? We ask an expert. When is expensive expensive? We ask an expert. Why are imports bigger than exports? We ask an expert. Why are some people so impertinent? We ask an expert. Why did I never enjoy a growth spurt? We ask an expert. Why are some bums perter than others? We ask an expert. Why do some people skirt the issue? We ask an expert. Why can't I see things in perspective? We ask an expert. Why is it MIX now? We ask an expert. Why does it all spurt out? As we're talking about trains, I was once in London at Finsbury Park. You know, there's the loudspeaker and the messages coming through on several platforms, and of course with the speed of sound, everything's a little bit delayed. So this is two tannoys, a noise, a noise. If you see fuse anything knee suspicious, please sheepish report it, please report it immediately me to an idiot member, wham, member, railway staff, railways fast. Attention, train tension, rain approaching, nap pro, chimp please stand, please well land, back elbow whack from the crumb platform edge, flat more for at fed. David Cameron was on the radio actually. You know when the whole thing about corporation tax and certain chain coffee shops trying to avoid it. He said, wake up and smell the coffee. And I thought, God, what a tired old bit of language that is. So, like Laura likes constraints, here's one. Wake up and smell the coffee. Wake up and smell the coughing. The cacophony, the cafard, the cavern. Wake up and smell kefafi. Wake up and smell kefalonia. Smell the kaftan. Smell the keef, the kofte, the kiefer, the o'keef. Wake up and smell the cufflink. Wake up and smell the coffin. I fed through some safety instructions from Ryanair through some kind of software. And instead of life jacket, I got waistcoat of life. A waistcoat of life is necessary. Passengers are informed that under each seat, behind their feet, wrapped yellow, there lies an example to be inflated by gently drawing on a collapsing table. A waistcoat of life doubles up like a floating device, once calm but quickly put upon. Passengers are requested to buckle and tighten before sliding off potential. So listen hard, belt up and fear the worst safely. I think I'll read three more. I'm studying French. I was introduced to French cinema, and you might know the French New Wave, the Francois Truffaut poems, where he used the same actor 5 times as the actor grew up. The 400 Blows, I think, was the first one. And the character was called Antoine Douanel. And I remember this scene, the end of the film where the boy's running along the beach. I recently revisited it, and it's not nearly as long a scene as I remember. But anyway, this is Antoine in the running. I'm running along the beach with Antoine, running along the beach with Antoine running. I am thinking about Antoine, considering his name as I run on the sand. and breathless as I run with running Antoine, Antoine running through my head as I consider him, consider Antoine running him. The way he's running along the beach as in Antoine, the beach a running Antoine, him running Antoine on the beach. I'm alongside Antoine keeping up and wondering, me running on his beach, there alongside him and his running along, me running on Antoine. I've a stitch from running and considering Antoine, from considering and thinking and wondering on the wet sand why I'm running and running with why I am Antoine. And I think I'll just read this because we're in a gallery, and I lived in Paris, and I was there for the terrorist attacks, and a week later I sort of tried to find sanctuary, thought it would be a good idea to go to the Orangerie and see Monet's Nymphéa, you know, the water lilies. That's the title of my collection. Thinking it would be tranquil and, you know, a place, a safe haven. And of course when I got there it was raining, everybody was poking each other's eyes out with umbrellas, and you get into the two beautiful oval rooms and everybody's got selfie sticks. So this is a poem where I sort of collaged the gallery notes from the Monet, and I was sort of thinking about narcissism. Selfie with water lilies, so it's 2 rooms. Room 1, me a refuge. Me of peaceful meditation, me a flowering aquarium, me moving closer, me to the edges of the frame, me a monument, me somehow immersed, me the complete panorama, me larger than the view, me laid out, me side by side, me as I intended, me an illusion of the endless whole, me in the scene, me selective, me built to house, me cutting out the horizon, me resurrecting interest, me a revered series, me on public display. Room 2. Me perfectionist, me attempting to sell, me just as I dreamed, me specially made, me the location. Me in my lifetime, me seeing blue, me a blurred vision, me 2 oval rooms. Me here forever, me rather than you. Me an impression, me the surface, me the sky, me reflected from above, me lost in an expanse. Me enveloping, me breaking free, me untold, me portraying me. And this is my last poem. You know, we all live abroad and we're most of the time not speaking our mother tongue, and I've spent a lifetime learning French and Spanish. But sometimes you're just not in the mood, you can't make the muscle movements, and you're not quite very convincing. And this was a day when I was visiting my friend Carlos in Granada, and Carlos is quite pedantic, I have to say. Yeah, and I just wasn't getting it that day. So, on my lousy spoken Spanish. 3 times now Carlos has scolded me on account of my hasta luego. He says you are saying really bad hasta luego, because you do not sound warm and happy. Really, I say? Yes, he says, claro. It's like you are saying hasta luego not wanting but forced by the manners of the country. True, mine's a half-hearted hasta luego. Compared to the rest of Europe, Carlos says, where you can say au revoir or goodbye, which are formal and do not need tone, like just au revoir or like bye then. In Spain, with hasta luego, you must be cheerful and show you're a nice person. He says English people is very cold by themselves by the fact they are English. I asked what my hasta luego says about me. He says, when we were leaving the tea room, to the waitress, your hasta luego appeared moody and selfish, even quite disrespectful. I mean, if you're driving up a narrow street, for example, and see a person that you know, you should sound the klaxon and say loud and with much enthusiasm, hasta luego! Or if you run into a friend but are too busy and cannot stop, you shout, hey, hasta luego! He says it's not what you say each day, but how you say it. Say it good, like hasta luego. Oh, sorry, I'm going to introduce Ben. I was meant to introduce Ben, who's my friend who works in the European Parliament, is also a poet.
Hey!
I count as a cold English person. So thank you so much for having me for 2 short poems. That's okay. Great. So yeah, I live in Brussels, and I'm a poet as well, as I'm sure many of us are artists and poets. I have met 3 beekeepers in my life, and these are the 3 times I had conversations with beekeepers. 3 encounters with beekeepers. Encounter number 1. Dimitar's father is alive on the first line of this poem, but by the second line, he is dead. His name was Petar, now he is past tense. In Bulgarian, it was Pietar, but bees don't mourn, they just buzz. He was first to leave. Next will go will be the hives, I expect. Encounter number 2. My friends keep their hives at the bottom of the garden. The distance between them the distance between them is mown with punishing exactness. Hedges are dismembered, flower beds are all sprayed. For their sake, they will remain nameless. In English, they are called paradoxes. Encounter number 3. On the outskirts, in the hot April sun, we stopped for lunch. 2 city drones with city cash. In broken syntax, we tried to smash the idols. The man in front of us pulls out his phone, shows us a photo of 2 queens locked in a death struggle, proudly tells us of the fray. In French, he is apiculture. To us, he is a half-god with strange powers as red as blood. And the second quick poem is about, I think we've all had this situation with someone close to us, or maybe we have been that person. It's called Fridge Wolf. I like to fill the fridge when you're not there. I know you like the chase, the sharp thrill of the hunt. Like all good legends, it is never seen, but I lie still in bed and painted whilst you're gone. Your naked shape transformed, your edges smoothed by that familiar yellow moonlight, chill on skin. My fridge wolf, stalking lithely up and down until the pounce, a sniff, a bite, never taking more than needed, save the rest of the kill for tomorrow. Sound of door gently closing, footsteps padding away, only softest fingerprints to tell that some animal was here.
Those of you who come because you've seen an invitation or something on Facebook, I just want to say very well, so thank you so much, Dan and Paul, for your readings. Really good. But you may have wondered why it said Stille Post, and I think that this collaboration between me and Laura started from a conversation we had where we were thinking about these chains of communication, how meaning becomes abraded as it gets passed back and forth. What I guess in English is called the telephone game, or various versions of whispers. In German, as you probably know, is called Stille Post, so it's kind of silent passing back and forth. And I'd be really curious to know what it is in other languages that you can discuss after we've maybe done our reading. But we decided to start passing postcards back and forth that responded to each other in a very loose way, especially because our originating postcard was something we probably remember only distantly by the time we received the reply. And we constructed different series as we were working. And it's an ongoing thing, but we thought this was a nice moment to just kind of take stock. And this was the first postcard that I think we sent. And we'll just read to you from some others now, which are displayed on the table. Yeah. Do I?
Yeah, no, it's not. Sorry. There's also a slight props failure. So I get the clips I wanted and it's stuck harder than I wanted. Okay. What was it like?
So hard to say, really. Elation, certainly, with an undertone of disappointment. I saw 2 Feldjäger on Stauffenbergstrasse.
From the kitchen window at Delawick Crescent, I saw a fox, squirrels, an orange cat, so many birds, a black cat.
And then, at Michelle Brook, I was surprised to see a stork, but then they're migrating late this year, they say.
And once there was a heron in the centre of a city lake. Now, across the US, turkeys have gone on sale.
I am hoping to see a wren this winter. The improvised quality is a part of it. Yes.
There's something about Greek that seems to go deeper into words than any modern language.
The architect was draped, cavalry, on it the antique divan, telephone in hand, her glossy head bathed in sunlight. She opened the dialogue.
One needs no key to peer through the keyhole.
I should not have dared listen at the keyhole.